finished! Forward! Stand your ground!
She is no queen.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. HBO dropped a brand new House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 5 trailer video, so we'll break it all down. There's a bunch of Easter eggs, references here, some footage that we haven't seen before. The other major epic battles happening this weekend where a giant creature is eating people alive. If only Odysseus and his men had Valyrian steel, maybe they would have made it home a little bit sooner. And even though we are making all the Odyssey jokes, George R. R. Martin did base his Valyrian steel in A Song of Ice and Fire on real-life Damascus steel, which is an actual thing. So these types of swords and weapons did exist a long time ago in real life. I think the idea is they mixed in footage from other future episodes, not just Episode 5, so I'll try to note what I think is Episode 5 and what I think is other future episodes. But we start with a new scene of Daemon and Caraxes yelling at someone in a field here. It's not clear where they are. Based on the train, it looks like it's close to Tumbleton, because there are a lot of scenes of Daemon in his armor, in full armor, attacking in Tumbleton, and then inside the Tumbleton city, which I do think are from later episodes, like the actual Battle of Tumbleton, which I don't think is going to happen till Episode 7. There are a couple different battles that we see in this trailer, the other big one being with Criston Cole and his men. There are a couple different battle scenes with them, one with his Kingsguard armor and the chain of the hand of the king still on, and then another battle where he doesn't have his armor on and he's covered in mud. So I'm assuming those are from two different episodes, like he doesn't have two different battles, one with armor and one without armor in the same episode. Based on the way they're pacing the episodes out, the battles out, and what Criston Cole was talking to Gwaine Hightower about in Episode 4, he said he was going to get down and dirty with their tactics. I think the idea is that we see him fighting in his armor first, and then they lose the armor at some point, and then start fighting really dirty, and that's when we get to the eventual Butcher's Ball. And I think the idea is that what you see Gwaine Hightower all muddied up with the other men, Criston Cole's other men, is that this is from one of the earlier episodes, like Episode Actual 5. Then he at some point leaves him because we see Criston Cole fighting with these men, and it seems like Butcher's Ball, and Gwaine Hightower doesn't seem like he's there anymore. Because we do see footage of Gwaine Hightower in Tumbleton later, so it seems like he survives whatever happens with Criston Cole and his men. Don't want to get too deep into that just because it gets a little bit spoilery. But they're making it seem like Gwaine Hightower survives till at least Episode 7, the Battle of Tumbleton.
How long I've been waiting for this. Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
I don't think you guys walk away from this.
You just make sure people know what happened here today.
During Butcher's Ball in the books, you basically have Daemon's forces surrounding Criston Cole and his remaining men, like it's a very small band of men that he has at that point, and they basically just swarm in on him, and there's no way that he can take them. So we will see how faithful they adapt that to the book version, because during their conversation Episode 4, Gwaine Hightower thought that Criston Cole was crazy, and part of the idea that Criston Cole was trying to Leroy Jenkins, the Rivermen, basically having 20 times their forces. Like there's no way that he was going to be able to kill all the Rivermen. All the different scenes of the Stark army, the Winter Wolves getting ready for battle, pounding their shields, and the other forces is at the actual Battle of Tumbleton. Like I said, I think Episode 7, much later in the season. We get that really quick scene of Alan of Hull with the casket behind him in what seems like King's Landing in his full armor with a bunch of other Targaryen castle guards too. So you do wonder who is in that casket, which big character died. There are a number of big characters that I do think they're going to kill off this season. My early assumption is that that is going to be from Episode 8, like the actual finale. I think that's the only finale scene that we actually see in this footage. We get a couple different scenes of Ormond Hightower with Daeron in different pictures of them playing with a Savas set, which is kind of like a glorified chess set from the East that didn't come over a little bit later in the books, so they're actually bringing it over a little bit earlier on the show, but it just looks super cool, so I think they're going to have some fun moments with them playing with it in next week's episode and in future episodes, using it for battle planning and a lot of speechifying with him trying to teach Daeron about battle tactics. Also, please, HBO, please start selling Savas sets in real life. It would be really cool to own this. You also notice all the different battle scenes at Tumbleton, the actual Battle of Tumbleton. Everyone's in their armor, Ormond Hightower in his armor, and you see all the dragon seeds flying around the city. It's going to be really interesting to see how they adapt this from the books, too, because they've already made some changes earlier in the timeline that affect what's happening at Tumbleton. But for the most part, all the dragon seeds are meant to be there, all three of them, as well as Daemon and Caraxes, and Tessarion and Daeron riding him, too. So if you wanted to see some battle scenes of Daeron riding Tessarion around during an actual fight, that's probably going to happen during Tumbleton. During that final really messed up scene in episode 4, he was sort of nuzzling Tessarion, basically telling her, don't worry, we'll get to fly soon. And yes, they will get to fly soon during the actual Battle of Tumbleton. We get a couple brand new scenes of Aemond without his armor fighting someone with Blackfire, the Valyrian sword that belonged to Aegon the Conqueror, inside Harrenhal. It seems like he's fighting other Strongs here, like he didn't kill all the Strongs when he first arrived. But it's not totally clear what he's doing, if he's just practicing here or if he's actually fighting trying to kill someone.
Larry! Oh, are you alright? How did... Larry!
We get a couple real juicy scenes of him with Alys Rivers, one where she's sitting in his room where the weirwood bed is, where he's been recuperating, doing some needlepoint. You can let me know what kind of needlepoint you think she's doing, because Helena does a lot of needlepoint, and she mostly does butterflies, which is meant to be a big metaphor for her story, just really, really big foreshadowing because she sees the future. But also, Alys Rivers is a witch and has seen the future and the past through the Weirwood Network, so you also kind of wonder what creepy, twisted things that she's embroidering. And a couple other scenes of him on his knees, prostrating himself to her, talking about how he's going to get rid of Rhaenyra, like he's the rightful king, he's the rightful bloodline. And I love the imagery of her just lording over him, basically one of the reasons why she tried to get rid of Criston Cole and his men as fast as possible, because she was having all this fun just messing with Aemond. She said behind the scenes, the actress who plays her, that she wants Harrenhal, so everything she's doing with Aemond right now is in pursuit of that goal, getting Harrenhal. I think the idea is that she's trying to honeypot Aemond and twist him around her finger so that he'll give her Harrenhal if he's able to survive and eventually make it back to King's Landing. Regardless of the way the war goes down, at some point he can give her Harrenhal, grant her Harrenhal, because technically he still is the king next to Rhaenyra, who just took the throne from him. So right now it's between the two of them. So I think she's hedging her bets, and she's not sure who's going to come out on top, the Blacks or the Greens, Rhaenyra or Aemond or another Green, because Ormond is trying to put Daeron on the Iron Throne. She's doing all this in secret so that the Blacks don't know that she's messing with Aemond, just in case the Blacks do win, because she got Daemon to ask Rhaenyra for Harrenhal. I'll ask to see if we can get you some sort of concession, but it's going to be real hard to get you Harrenhal. So Daemon doesn't really want to give her the castle, so she's kind of hoping right now probably that the Greens actually come out on top. More than anything, when it comes to Alys Rivers, it seems like she cares more about Harrenhal, the God's Eye, this area around here, like the old gods, way more than the actual person, like whoever Blacks or Greens sits on the Iron Throne. We get a new scene of Daemon and Rhaenyra inside the Sept praying. Not clear what they're praying about, but it seems like Daemon is just trying to whisper to her about the actual war with the Greens, Tumbleton, and Ormond Hightower. Generally, it seems like all the things he's concerned with right now have to do with what's happening at Tumbleton, but also maybe to do with Sheepstealer and Rhaenys subplot and some of the unrest that's happening in the city because of the gold cloaks and the declaration, the graffiti about her bastards and freaking her out in this idea of legitimacy that she's so obsessed with. Because there are a couple other new scenes of him going to talk to the Gold Cloaks that probably has something to do with their current mission right now, knocking heads all over King's Landing, pissing off the small folk. Generally, it seems like everything that Rhaenyra is doing right now is pushing her to make very bad decisions, and it's a sort of downward spiral where the conditions in King's Landing from a number of different sources, like the highborn people, the really rich people are starting to hate her, the small folk are starting to hate her too because of what the Gold Cloaks are doing. So I think the idea is they're pushing that towards the head by the end of this season. We'll see how they leave things going into season 4. For the most part, I think they're following the big beats from the books in terms of what happens to Rhaenyra in the way the realm responds to her and how her rulership, her sitting on the Iron Throne, goes down. But they're just adding a lot of extra context to that. Like all these big WTF things winds up happening to Rhaenyra and the other green characters as well too, not just the Blacks, but how do they wind up happening? Why do they wind up happening? That's the stuff that they're adding. We also got some cool behind-the-scenes looks at Ormond Hightower's Valyrian sword, Vigilance. I believe the person that's etched on the hilt here is meant to be the warrior because the Faith of the Seven is so big in their family. They live in Old Town. The capital used to be in Old Town before Aegon's conquest, so the Great Sept, where the High Septon ruled from, was also in Old Town for thousands of years. One of the other ideas, too, is that the Hightowers are one of the richest families in the realm, and Valyrian steel is one of the most expensive things that you can spend your money on in Westeros, so that's why they have it. It's meant to show their great wealth. But even though it seems like Ormond is a very devout person, like Alicent found religion over her life because all the crazy stuff that was happening to her inside King's Landing, just trying to survive and deal with all the Targaryens that she didn't like, When it comes to Ormond Hightower, that's mostly a smokescreen, and he just styles himself a ruler and wants to be king of the realm, even if it means putting Daeron on the Iron Throne and just controlling the throne through him. Like, Daeron will be his puppet king. That's all he really cares about. He's not actually that devout of a person. Kind of in the same way that a lot of despots in real life, a lot of like really terrible people, just hide behind religion as a path to power. We also get a couple new scenes of Alicent with Helaena in the Godswood getting really, really worried because of her coming pregnancy. I believe that's meant to be Maelor from the actual books. And then Alicent talking to Orwyle, so maybe early theory, she tries to get some moon tea from Orwyle because she did that before after she was getting it on with Criston Cole because she didn't want to have a baby with Criston Cole. So I think part of the idea with this whole Maelor pregnancy subplot is that Alicent is trying to get rid of the baby to save Helena's life, at least right now. Or maybe she's just trying to look for an out, like a couple different solutions, like we could get rid of the baby, or we could find a way to escape. Maybe Orwyle will help us, because I think one of the ideas they wanted to set up in the first couple of episodes is that Orwyle was sympathetic to Alicent in what was happening with her, Helaena, the other Greens. But it's not like he hates Rhaenyra and wants to get rid of her or anything like that. Like, he's just trying to help Alicent as much as he can because he's sympathetic to her cause, sympathetic to Helena's cause.
I'm in your debt, Grand Maester.
Now, we get another new scene of Adam of Hull with Baela inside the Red Keep in this meeting here. This is probably to do with Tumbleton and what's happening just because they have dragons, so Rhaenyra is taking stock, doing her dragon math. Like, how many dragons can we send against them? How many people can we burn without trying to burn all of my subjects too that bent the knee to me so that I don't seem like the Mad Queen to everyone? And we also check back in with the Winter Wolves and the Rivermen, where you have Roderick Dustin talking to Oscar Tully in a tent. It seems like they're just getting much closer to actual Tumbleton. Previously, they were going to send word to them because they were supposed to be marching to King's Landing, but they were going to tell them, no, divert to Tumbleton because that's where all the action is. That's where we're going to need your help. I love the way they frame this scene too, where you have like the old battle-hardened, grizzled Stark warrior here, and you have like the very young, very green, metaphorically, not actual green because he's supporting the Blacks, young fighter here too, who's supposed to be ruling the Riverlands, one of the most powerful people in the realm. The old teaching passing along his very stabby wisdom to the young. I'm really expecting there to be a lot of loaded meaning in their conversation too, because part of the idea is that the Winter Wolves are a bunch of older men who expect to die, and that's just part of the customs of the North. When winters got really hard and food started to get scarce, part of the idea is that the older members of the family would basically leave so that there would be more supplies to feed the young members of the family, because the older people are like, we're going to die anyway, so we're going to go find some honorable way to go out, and this provides them with that opportunity. So they're actually very happy to come and die for the Dragon Queen, like he said when they showed up, we're here to die for the Dragon Queen, and he actually meant it, like they expect to die in this battle. Oscar Tully, though, not so much. He probably does not plan to die, like he wants to live a very long life. I cannot wait to see Roderick Dustin during the Battle of Tumbleton. He is going to wreck, like all the Winter Wolves are going to be awesome. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and let me know if you spotted any Easter eggs or references in the new footage that I didn't talk about during the video. My full episode 5 video will post Sunday night after they release it, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Everybody click here for that episode. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for all my other House of the Dragon videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.